This is so beautiful. It's like the rebranding of witch, you know? Yeah. And I feel that we've also like inducted ourselves into that campaign. I was telling Erica recently, I was at completing my program at Tantra school, and something happened that was like totally unexpected and like a negative experience at the very end of my trip. But like right after it felt like an initiation. And I heard you on another YouTube or podcast, and you were going through something. I think it was when you lost your cat, and you're like, I was going through an intense initiation at that time. And I feel like people hear the word initiation and they're like, oh, well, I have to be initiated into like an Orisha or this or that, like this particular type of witchery, you know. And like a lot of us, because we're resurrecting from, like, we're reconnecting to this wisdom, there's like a less direction. And I think in general, like, magic is personal anyway. So totally. you have to kind of go on your own divine journey to access that power. But anyway, in Tantra school, there's only like 2 men in the graduating class. So there's mostly women, and we're in the middle of like the jungle in Mexico, and we're naked, and we had graduated. This weird thing had happened to me, to a couple, like, and then we kind of all came together to kind of sit on it. And then, you know, we talked about it, the energy shifted, and we all got in the pool, and we were laughing so hard, and we were all naked, and it was lovely. It was friendship. It was platonic. And the one guy who was outside still at night, or under the moon, just happened to be in the middle. And we started to just like naturally like go around in a circle, like a merry-go-round, like just kind of like happily like children. And like then we were like thrusting, and then we would just break out in like roaring laughter because it was childlike. But in that very moment, I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is what witches are. Yeah. A bunch of happy, laughing, free people in the outdoors. And it's literally the depiction. And like when we hear of Salem witch trials, or we hear of this negative, like this American fairy tale depiction of witches, we do hear about naked women in the forest, you know, in a circle with a fire. And I was just like, but they were just having fun. And it just dawned on me that, the word witch is really a word that describes free, happy, joyful women who are in touch with nature and giving themselves permission to be not ashamed by their nudity and not ashamed of their roaring laughter or their fucking rage or their tears. And it was just like so profound yet so simple. Yeah. And it was like kind of funny. And I was like, you guys, this is it. This is what witches are. And they were like, what? I was like, let me tell you. But it's such an interesting, even for us to come back to this word and for us to have this personal journey. I think especially as Black women, there's a lot of religion around Blackness. And not even like, I didn't grow up in a religious household, but even when I started to like discover Buddhism for myself and discover, you know, using the word witch, or really like take
studying Tantra,
like, I started to even peel back, like, damn, why do I feel guilty? I didn't even have to believe in Jesus growing up, but still understanding that, like, it still is deeply implanted in me that it's like wrong or dark. And I do feel like, you know, even for us, there's been times in our career where I'm like, we're always like, are we doing too much? Is this too scary? If we use this word, are we going to deter our audience? Are people going to be afraid of our sexuality, of our straightforward talk, of our inappropriate jokes and shit like that? But I also feel like there is no shift without making majority people uncomfortable. Yeah, you cannot like change shit if you're not triggering the powers that be, the mind, you know, if everyone's the status quo. And so I just feel like that, like, understanding that. And when people say that, why do you use the word witch? I'm always like, because I know how to harness my power.
I think that Black people have a really hard time with that word in particular. I think all people do, but I think the word witch has historically felt like, even the imagery that you see, you don't see Black women with hats on and it's white women. So when you call a Black woman a witch, it feels like, it doesn't feel, well, A, you already have shame around what that means, or a preconceived notion around whatever that means, but also it doesn't feel like something that you've ever embodied. You know what I mean? Like, of course, there's been like witch trials against the Black healers in Africa and all those things, but that's not what they were called.
Right.
They were called something else. And even when you call them that, whether that's a priestess or whatever it is, there's still a level of discomfort. But I find even more so the discomfort is really with brown and black people around that word. Have you found that too, like in your work?
I mean, gosh, I have people of all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds following me, resonating with the work. But I do think that there is a particular type of discipline in the Black community that children receive because of the historical occurrences in like our unique lineages. Like the white people have colonized the entire world everywhere and took religion and made and enslaved Black people. So not only could you not practice your religion, could you not sing your songs, could you not speak your language, but you also like couldn't even be a functioning human being in society. So all of that plays into this very disciplinary role that the danger of being a witch for anyone, if anyone was singing a song to nature, which like I go out and sing to nature all the time. I'm like just singing my praise to her. Like that's my church. Like that's where I go and sing. If you were singing to nature, if you were gathering plants, if you were dancing and having fun with your sisters, if you were naked out in nature, if you were doing any type of ritual, you know, we were talking about Tantra, like Tantra is the backbone of my witchcraft. And any kind of tantric ritual where you're healing, where you're moving your body somatically, where you're like unwinding any of your pain or your trauma, all of that was grounds for you to just be killed straight up. And because white people would have maybe a family or like someone to stand up for them or someone who would come to their aid, which, you know, still didn't happen all the time. And that's why so many millions of women were killed during the witch trials. But for a Black person, like there was nobody that was going to come speak on your behalf. Right. There was nobody that was going to stand up for you. So if you were deemed a witch, you're pretty much just like kill, and your owner could kill you immediately for oh, she was a witch. Oh, she was doing it, you know, like, so I think that that's where just epigenetically deep in our cells, like we all carry the energy of the witch and the witch hunter because we've all been on one or both sides of like your light skin, right? Like you probably have both sides. You have the colonizer and the colonized, right? And that is